today I want to get into a topic that has been keeping me up at night. So I know I look tired because last night I had some really disturbing news, and I'm like, wow, and it's not even just last night. It's been from, I would say, since maybe Friday of last week. I was I came across someone that was talking about the scams that's going on in Africa. And it was very disturbing to me because most people look at Africa as the motherland, right? And we kind of view it as, especially as a US citizen, right? A descendant from, you know, Africa. We, like our ancestors were the descendants of Africa, right? Well, actually, we're the descendants of our African ancestors that came here. And so whether we came here through slavery or whether we were already here, we still view Africa like the motherland, and we honor Africa. And so when we hear about these scams that's going on, um, it's very disturbing. So I heard about a scam that's happening with what they would consider um, passport grannies. And the passport grannies, I guess, originally started with European women going to Africa, in particular the Gambia, and um, I guess being sugar mamas to these young African men. I'm not even gonna say men because they're boys, because they're a lot of them are like 25, 26. And these women are in their 70s and their 80s. And they're walking around the Gambia all hugged up as if they're a couple, right? And so I guess the women are paying the men to be with them in some kind of capacity. And so the men or these young boys, I forgot what she calls them. I was listening to ooh Kiki Loves Nigeria. This is where, I found out about this information about the Gambia. And she discusses a lot of the scams that's going on. So if you want to know about the scams that's going on in Africa before you go there, if you're planning to go there, I think you should definitely check out her channel because it was very enlightening. And sometimes we're ignorant to what's really going on, and we think that Africa is paradise, right? And then we find out that all is not well in paradise. And so I know I was creating videos about moving abroad and starting a business before you go. And so I felt that it was my responsibility to come to tell people that, yes, it's fine to start your business when moving abroad, but understand where you're going and really get to the underground of what's really going on in that country, because these passport grannies, right? The European women, of course, they probably have enough money and they take care of these young boys and they buy them homes and cars and everything, right? And so, and even men, right? Even the older men, she was saying there was a lot of older European men as well that, you see them with young African women. And she said she saw one girl, she might have been about 16, and she was sitting on this lap of this man that was like 70 or 80. And so what happens with that is that the culture gets infected by something that's unnatural, because a 70-year-old woman with a 25-year-old man is unnatural. It's unnatural for him because he can't make a baby with that woman. It's unnatural for her because that could be her grandson. Okay. And so what happens is that it's a culture. And now African American women, right, of a certain age are going to Africa because We've been called to come to the motherland, and they're going there and they're doing the same thing. They're hooking up with these young guys, and the young guys are taking them for everything that they have, you know. Um, and a lot of these women are afraid to, they may have YouTube channels and they're showing us how beautiful and lavish they're living, but in reality, they're getting their money and their life savings sucked away by some young boy, right? And they have to come back to the United States after their money runs out. And on top of everything else, they're building homes and buying land, and they're not residents. And it takes years to get residencies in some of these countries. And so if the government says, this is not your land, we're building something else, your hard earned investment that you worked hard for in the country that you hate, the US, that you wanted to get away from, now you take it to another country and they say, no, we don't, you ain't nobody here. Get out of here. So you have nothing. And then you got to come back and stay with family members that you basically wrote off. And you got to come back and live with them. One particular lady, I think she had to come back to live with her son after she done tricked off her money on this young boy. Now she got to come back and live on her son's apartment, not even a house, an apartment. So now you're going to inconvenience him after you blew all your money and you have no legacy to leave these your own children. You done gave it to some little dude in Africa that don't care about you, that just wanted your money. And I know as an older women, sometimes, we may not see ourselves as being an older woman because you know who you are, right? You know who you've been. And so if someone is talking to you and telling you these nice romantic things, you think that it's real. And so a lot of women are getting tricked out there. A lot of American women are getting tricked. Because remember, although Africa is not a poor country because they have all the natural resources in the world, but the people are living impoverished, right? And so their impoverishment, because they don't have access to income like we do, that's all they want. So now they create this world of everything. And that's why they say, and I gotta say this, they say money is the root to all evil, or of all evil, right? And you can see it because don't you think, like, you're giving a young guy money to be with you? And then they start believing that this young man really, really wants them for them. And I'm not laughing because I know that this is something that happens all the time. I know that as women get older, we become vulnerable if we're not in a relationship. I mean, and I'm even young people. I'm looking at some of the young people, 20 something, 30 somethings. They're going to Africa and they're trying to build businesses. And some of them are succeeding and some of them are failing and they're losing everything, right? As well. And so now they have to resort to scamming us, right? The Americans. And we're giving them our money, right? For them to pretend that they're living a certain way where they're really struggling. So, um, what I wanted to say is that I, my trip to Africa, right? I wanted to talk about my trip to Africa. So my nose is running. Every time I get on here, my nose starts running. Hold on. So look, these tissues are thicker than the toilet tissue. If you see my video on integrity, this tissue is stronger than the toilet tissue. It's thicker. Like, is your snot thicker than your urine? Okay, anyway. Um, so I'm thinking about my trip, right? So because I'm doing these videos, I'm getting into like, oh, maybe I should move abroad too, right? So I'm planning a trip. I said I'm going to move abroad. I saw a young lady that I was watching on a YouTube channel, and I kind of felt like she was pretty trustworthy. So I kind of reached out to her to see, what it is and what it ain't. Excuse me. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'll come and, since you have a guest home, maybe I'll come and at least I'll have somebody there, right? I think it was an Airbnb. You have some, excuse me. Since this person had an Airbnb, I said, okay, well, maybe I'll go to that person, when I get there. At least I have somebody that I kind of know from YouTube that's been there for a while and who I've been following. And of course, I was going to connect with the expats that's already there. So as the process was going along and I was doing my research and everything to see about how I was going to get there, I started seeing these red flags, right? And the person started saying, well, the place where you would be staying, right, was next door to this compost. And the compost was bringing rodents. And so I was like, ain't no way, ain't no how. I'm going to travel. I looked at the flight, and it was like over 24 hours to get there, this particular part of Africa. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to travel 24 hours to get to a place to be worried about whether a rodent is going to pop out in the Airbnb. So my trip to Africa was canceled. And so then I started getting all kind of YouTube videos about Africa, right? And then I came across Kiki Loves Nigeria, and she was talking about all of these scams that's going on. And other people talk about it too, but she really goes really in depth with it. So definitely, I mean, I don't know her. I'm not even subscribed to her, but I saw like two of her videos, and and I get it. You know what I'm saying? Um, Personally, if you're a passport granny, and a lot of these women, like I said, they're losing everything. Okay, if they marry these guys, right? Say they're in their 60s or 70s, right? Or they marry these guys. These men have access to all of your wealth, whether it be your pension or your social security. That's your husband. If something happens to you, they're probably going to get that money too. Okay? A lot of the young people that are going there, they're not going to even have a pension or social security because that's not the system. So you could work over there, but you're not going to have anything to show for it, right? Because that's not the system. So you can't get social security here because you're not working here. You're working there. You're putting all your energy over there. Where I believe, I mean, unfortunately, I thought, oh, go to Africa. Yeah, I could help. I could do this. But Africans, there's enough Africans in Africa to help themselves. Like, we don't need to go there to help them, right? They have to help themselves because the psychosis that's going on the continent is absolutely ridiculous. Okay? Absolutely. That men don't care about you, but they are willing to sleep with you at any age. What kind of what is that doing to your soul? What is that doing to you as a person that you would sleep with your grandmother? You can't be a man by taking money from a woman. Now check this out. Now I know I've even experienced that online where African men try to talk to you, they DM you and all this kind of stuff. And the first thing they want, oh, I want to get married. I need a serious relationship. Oh, you know, somebody's sick or something is something and I need some money. And it's like, you need money. I've never seen you a day in my life and you want me to give you money? And if you don't give them money, you're not a good woman. This guy told me, I said, you must be joking. I said, I don't give men money. You're not a good woman. Listen, you don't know me from a can of paint. Okay? Why should I give you my hard earned? I'm a slave. If you want to call me a slave in America, I'm a slave in America. Now I'm supposed to take my slave wages and give it to a man. You call yourself a man, but you want my slave wages? I was too done. So I could imagine how these women and even men are getting took. Some men are actually unaliving themselves because they've gotten things taken from them, like their life savings from young women on a continent. So my advice or my opinion, I guess, because it's really opinion. Like you could do what you want, you could live where you want. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't stop anybody from going to live there if that's what you want to do. But definitely check out her channel, Kiki's channel, because you need to know these things before you make an investment in a place that has like. Listen, America has a lot going on, especially for African Americans, right? We have a deep history here. We have a history that is very painful, and it causes us to act and do things that's inappropriate as well. And it's also causing the Africans to do things that's inappropriate. Okay. And now you're on the motherland doing inappropriate things. And we wonder why there's tsunamis and earthquakes and hurricanes every day. We wonder why. Because we're not in order. We're out of balance. You can't have a 70-year-old sleeping with a 25-year-old. That's not balance. What is he doing? What? Please let me pull it back because I couldn't even sleep these last couple of nights. I mean, last night was really bad, but the it's just unbelievable, And I know a lot of times we are very trusting, right? And we're not thinking that someone that would look like us or someone that is supposed to be in this spiritual on this spiritual continent would do such atrocities, okay? But we know that there's something wrong there, okay? And if we don't know, like I couldn't go to Africa right now. Africa would have to get it together before I can come there. I'm sorry, you know, unless God is going to say, Monica, and he pick me up and he take me over there. Monica is not good. Peace and love, Africa. I love people, but I couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because these people are making Africa look really, really bad. They're making Africa look really bad. They're making African people look really, really horrendous. Okay? And it's making American people look stupid and ignorant, right? Because we don't know. And then on top of everything else, Americans, because they're not living well anymore, right? Their money is running out. They done tricked off all of their money, and now they're coming to us and telling us they need money to get back home, and they need and we got to donate, right? So people are upset because they feel like these people are begging for money when you made a decision in life, and this is what your decision. Like you can't bail out of your own karma or your own decisions, right? Because karma comes with the decisions that we make. So if you make a messed up decision, there's consequences. So, I mean, I feel for anybody that's going through trials and tribulations in another country, you know? But I also know that there were signs. And if you don't see the signs or you don't want to see the signs or you see the signs but you don't know how to get out, I mean, I really hope that you find a way to get out because I don't think you should live like that. I mean, I think that, as African American women, we historically, I mean, overall, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, but we don't mess with young boys. Like we just don't do that here. I don't know who does it. I mean, I could see 5 years, but 25, 30, 40, 50 years. What's wrong with that mentality? Oh, just because you go on vacation, nobody knows that you done did to do with some young boy. But you think God don't know that you're doing the do? with some young boy. You think God don't know that you, because you're the mature person. So you're supposed to understand. I think if I would have went out there and stayed with this person, they would have came here and left me there. Because after I said, I'm not doing that, they started talking about coming back to the US. And I'm saying, okay. And they were saying, oh, I was going to rent out my Airbnb, but they didn't really want to be there when the people got there. So if I would have went and stayed with this person, they would have left me in this village by myself with people that I don't know, and they probably don't even like Americans. I don't know, because a lot of Americans are going around there flossing like they all of this and that, and they throwing their money around, and so they just think that we all like that. No, I work too hard for my money to throw it around. I mean, I waste enough money on my own here. I'm not gonna go there and waste my money, And like I said, the young people, what are y'all gonna do? Y'all not investing in your future in a sense. Now, when Africa really gets developed and you have stuff there, fine. How long that's going to take, who knows? You're building there. If they take it away from you, it may take 10 years before you become an actual resident. And they could say, well, this is a zoning issue where you want to where you built your house. We got to tear that down. So now you lost your investment. Okay. And if you're young and you're not working in the United States where at least you have your pension that you can rely on and Social Security when you get older, you're sacrificing years of not putting into something that can benefit you. See, I'm not interested in investing without getting a return on my investment. And that's how you know a person is a scammer. Okay. Because if you guys are going over there, right? If Americans are going over there with all of this money and they're able to build these big mansions and beautiful homes and stuff, they're going over there. But they're not doing it to say, hey, American brothers and sisters, I want to build a hotel here. Why don't y'all invest in this and we can have a hotel here that's reasonable for even the people, the locals, right? Nobody's coming together to say, let's get a return on our investment. It's just give, 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 give to me, give to me, give to me, give to me. And you get nothing. You get a hi, you get a YouTube video, you know what I'm saying? And that's supposed to be enough. No. If I'm investing money, I want money back. I don't want you to smile at me on YouTube and show me how fabulous you're living, you know, and how many coconuts you can eat for free. Like that's not helping me. Are you going to send me some of those coconuts? Like are you starting a shipping company where you can send us some food over here that's fresh? So it's a lot going on out there, y'all. And I'm just, I'm hurt about it because I look at Africa as the motherland. I'm thinking that, she got it together. But like I said in my boycott hair video, right? African hair salons. We have our slave psychosis in the US and y'all have your colonial psychosis in Africa. It's touched us both in ways that we probably never even imagined, but it's in every nook and cranny of our lifestyles and our existence. And these are the things that we have to flesh out, I think, before we should even be coming together. Because I don't want to deal with your trauma. You shouldn't have to deal with mine. You understand? Like, we need to heal. Like, you bringing colonialist mindsets and slave mindsets together, and y'all think that's going to work when we both have not healed? And if you're a European or someone that's watching this and you listen, y'all know what y'all did to our ancestors. It's not a secret. Y'all can't hide that. Y'all can't cover it up. The proof is in the pudding. We're looking at people that's living in a certain way because of slavery and colonialism and industrial, what do they call it? I can't even think what it is, imperialism. So now you got the people in the UK. they've been living under this imperialistic system as well. I don't know how they're faring in the UK. They're not as vocal, but they're going through the same things as well as the Caribbean. So we've all been affected as African people. Period. I don't care where you are. You're Caribbean, but you're still African, right? Because everybody, we're not Chinese because we don't look Chinese. We're not European because we don't look European. We more look like Africans. So that's how we know that that's our continent. That's where we came from. Because you can't really come from any other place looking the way we look, right? So at the end of the day, I just wanted to come on here to let some stuff out. I know I might have been all over the place, but this is a very serious issue. And, we can keep talking about it, but what are we going to do about it? How do we change this dynamic? How do we heal from this horrendous stuff that we've been infected with because of imperialism, because of slavery, because of colonialism? How do we heal? I mean, because do you want because a lot of Africans, right, they want to come to the United States because it's like, oh, the money is here. But do you want your daughter or your granddaughter or your niece or your nephew or whoever to be involved in this whole, because it's still like an ex trafficking system, okay? Because if they're going over there, and I have to say this to the European women, you know because you women are the ones that your your men are supposedly the leaders of this society right now, right? So that means that the people that you birthed are doing these kind of despicable things. So I have to question the woman. See, the woman gives birth to a nation. And so if a woman gave birth to a nation that she want to be 80 years old and sleep with a young boy because she got the money to do it, knowing that he don't want her, but you don't care because I got the money to pay you to do it. I own you with this money. And then we got to think about the monetary system. Maybe it's time for that to be destroyed. Because if money is doing this, then we know that money is the root of all evil because what's coming out of that is not good. It's not good. What about these young boys? They done slept with all these old women and then they go back to their young girl. What kind of energy is that on them? And they produce a child. What happens to that child? What kind of spirit is going to be in that child? We don't want to talk about what these people have done, but they're still doing it and they have to be held accountable. I mean, at the end of the day, they got to be held accountable. Period. They have to. Because you're the woman. What are you doing sleeping with little boys? What are you doing? Man, this is very upsetting. This is very upsetting. So I hope you can find your way out of these compromising positions, passport grannies. Don't try to pull the rest of us into that mess because y'all miserable and y'all want us to be miserable because you lost everything and now you need to get out and you're gonna scam us so we can give you our money so you could get out and you leave us there. I'm not. No. You could go on vacation. I would go on vacation, but I definitely wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't. I would go on vacation, but I definitely wouldn't live there. Not until Africa becomes, they wipe out that stench, because that's a stench. It's bad enough we got that in America. Oh no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. I just won't do it. Unfortunately, I'm at the point where I don't even want to visit. Get off of me. It's enough. I got enough dirt around me already. I got enough perversion around me already. I don't need that around in my energy. I don't need that in my energy. You understand? And we have to start thinking like that. We don't want that filth in our energy. That's filth. And it's cold blooded. Then somebody said that in South Africa, the Russians are recruiting African girls from 18 to 22 to come to Russia to do some kind of job. And the parents are sending their girls over there. And it's the same thing, the X ring. You know what I'm saying? They sending them over to Dubai and letting men do all kind of filthy, nasty, disgusting, despicable stuff to them for money. It's the root of all evil. That's not what the purpose of money is for. But see, when your money has demonic energies on it, yeah, you're gonna do anything for that because you're gonna think that's all it is. So I forgot who was saying. I went to a seminar, and this white lady, I think she said, some European woman, I don't know where she was from, but she said that if we said that buttons were the new currency, then everybody got to pay with buttons. You know, so how many buttons do you have? Like maybe we should do something like that because at the end of the day, right? I understand. First of all, Africa has all the natural resources, right? So everything grows in abundance there. We're not even talking about the diamonds and the gold and the platinum and the lithium and all the other good resources that they have. The food, we're talking about the abundance, right? The breadbasket of the world. So, why is that for sale? Why is food that grows on trees, excuse me, for sale? Because it is to make sure that everyone is enslaved to a bill, to a piece of paper. And I think that's the problem. I think that's really the problem, y'all. We're enslaved to a piece of paper. We're slaves to a piece of paper, period. We're slaves to a piece of paper. We'll do anything for a piece of paper. They're not even doing anything to get their gold back. They're doing it for a piece of paper. You're not even trying to get your gold back. You're doing it for a piece of paper. Because somebody said, take this piece of paper and I'll buy you everything. Anything you want. Here, take this paper. And you take the paper and they got you doing all kind of tricks. You just a clown in the circus.